The man stared in shock as a gigantic monster walked past him. The creature destroyed his newly built house and then swaggered away.
Adrian? Yeah? I think we need more than wallpaper, dear.
Suddenly he remembered something that had happened 3 years ago. He and his wife had been at home when the ground suddenly began to shake. The two of them hurried into the basement to hide. When the shaking finally stopped, they climbed out of the cellar, only to find that their house had been completely destroyed. They never found the cause. They only discovered an enormous footprint near the ruins. Until today, the man finally understood the truth. The monster kept walking northward, eventually reaching the snowy mountains. Anna used a flare to lure the mountain giant there. And in that place, the mountain giant found another gigantic monster, Jeff. The mountain giant looked furious the moment he saw Jeff. The two monsters seemed to start quarreling. John sensed trouble and wanted to draw his gun to intervene, but his colleague quickly stopped him. The two giants spoke in a language humans couldn't understand, but it clearly sounded like an argument. Jeff stepped forward angrily, his massive foot sweeping right over Anna's head. John immediately ordered the helicopter team to be ready for takeoff. Suddenly, the mountain giant launched an attack against Jeff. With one heavy stomp, cracks rapidly spread across the ice. The fracture raced directly toward Anna. Seeing the danger, Anna sprinted to the side, and luckily she managed to dive across the gap just in time. When Anna looked back, Jeff was already surrounded by cracks. The ice beneath him shattered completely. Jeff plunged into the freezing water. Anna could only watch helplessly as Jeff struggled and then disappeared beneath the surface. John quickly ran to Anna's side and pulled her toward the helicopter. The mountain giant noticed them from afar, and despite its heavy body, began moving toward the helicopter. Anna and John scrambled aboard. During takeoff, the giant even tried to grab them, but they managed to escape. The giant turned away and left. Anna stared at the gaping hole Jeff had fallen through, her heart filled with sorrow. Meanwhile, the mountain giant continued walking and arrived at a mountaintop party. People inside felt the floor tremble. They stopped dancing, assuming it was an earthquake. The chandelier shook loose and crashed to the floor. Everyone was confused about what was happening. The next second, the entire roof was ripped away. The giant suddenly appeared, crouching on top of the building. Instead of being terrified, people took out their phones and began recording. Only when the giant reached its hand into the building did they finally panic and start running. The military soon received reports and deployed forces to the area. They installed UV lamps on their aircraft, knowing that the giant was afraid of sunlight. John piloted a helicopter toward the creature, and as expected, the areas illuminated by the UV lights began to show signs of petrification. They flew closer again, but this time the giant retaliated quickly, ripping a utility pole from the ground and hurling it at the helicopters. One of the helicopters was struck on its tail. The aircraft spun out of control but was miraculously stabilized. John thought their allies were fine, but moments later, after a brief farewell, the damaged helicopter crashed. John was devastated, but they were not strong enough to face the monster now. Fortunately, the giant turned away and left. John wanted to avenge his comrades, but he knew they weren't capable yet. He could only watch the giant disappear into the distance. In the days that followed, the giant continued moving in a single direction. Disasters occurred everywhere it passed. Humans predicted its final destination and began setting up defensive structures there. Finally, one night, the mountain giant appeared before them. They first used sound waves to disrupt its movement, but human weapons couldn't injure it at all. The giant quickly approached their position. At the critical moment, Jeff appeared. He had survived after all. The two giants clashed in the lake, but Jeff was no match. He was pushed into a disadvantage almost immediately. Soon Jeff was knocked down completely. Humans did their best to fire at the giant, but nothing worked. In desperation, they tried one last method, a special holy water described in an ancient book, a substance capable of killing the giant, but only if the giant drank it, so it could destroy the creature from within. At the final moment, a man stepped forward. He decided to sacrifice himself by carrying the holy water into the giant's mouth. After saying farewell to his family, he leaped onto the giant's body. The giant swallowed the holy water, and immediately its body began reacting abnormally. Its insides started to burn. Chunks of its body began falling off. Suddenly, Jeff's hands burst through the giant's chest. He ripped out the monster's heart. The mountain giant completely lost all signs of life and slowly collapsed to the ground. Anna and Jeff looked at each other. At last, the crisis was over. Anna ultimately chose to return to her father's house in the mountains, and Jeff lived nearby, close to Anna's home.